Azamra leloai be'odi, Azamra leloai be'odi, Ahala, Ahalela, Azamra leloai be'odi, Azamra leloai be'odi, Azamra leloai be'odi, Ahala, Ahalela, Azamra leloai be'odi. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us again for our Azamra service from HEA in Denver, Colorado. I'm Rabbi Solomon Grunwald, and I'm here with Cantor Reisner. We haven't been together for Azamra in some time, as Cantor Reisner, nay Cantor Green, just got married and was away, and I was away last week. So it's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
And to sing together with people at home. And so we invite you to join us as we celebrate Shabbat together, and we hope that you're celebrating Shabbat with us in your home. We're using Sidur Lev Shalem, available as a download from our website at headenver.org, and we'll begin our service with Yedid Nefesh on page 10.
Ay, 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 Yeah. שלומך, סוכת שלומך, אותה עיר ארץ, מכבודך נגילה, ונשמחה בך, ונשמחה בך.
Please join us now on page 13.
I get my page too. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בצרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בצרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו ורואים כבודו, וכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומולו מאוד, נורא הוא הכל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בצרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בצרו מיום ליום ישועתו.
Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, sing a new song. We hope that we can continue to sing anew with one another. We're still in that in-between phase when we're still doing some of these services remotely, but God willing, it won't be too much longer when we will have weekly services in person, as we did last week. And Cantor Reisner and Shira Teed led a beautiful service last week with a meal outside in our sukkah. Please look online and look for opportunities this coming summer to daven with us in person. And in the meantime, learn our melodies, learn and sing along at home as we turn to page 20, the closing words of the psalm at the arrow.
Romemu, 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 Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu, 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 Adonai Eloheinu. Veishtachavu le'kodsho, veishtachavu le'kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu, 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 Adonai Eloheinu. Veishtachavu le'kodsho, veishtachavu le'kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu, 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 Adonai Eloheinu.
Page 22, Ana Bekoach.
Ana bekoach,
There's something powerful about the image of a bride, the symbolism of a bride, and the blessing that is brought when a bride enters the room. I've done a lot of weddings, and I have to say there's a little bit of a double standard there. We don't usually ask the kahal, the congregation, to rise for the groom, but when the bride comes in, we all rise, and there's a hush over the crowd when the bride comes in. The Talmud says that every bride is beautiful, no matter what. Every bride, when she enters the room, brings blessing, and I think it's because of the promise of renewal and love that's represented in that moment, that the groom sees the bride for the first time, or that the bride sees the bride for the first time. And that's the opportunity that we have every Shabbat of renewal and restoration and love, reconnecting us with the bride of Shabbat. That's what we sing about in Lecha Dodi, as we will sing together the first two and last two verses on 23 and 25.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, תשמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, זה שם ותפארת ונתילה לך אדוני, כת כלה, או בני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, לראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך אדוני, כת כלה, או בני שבת נקבלה, ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, לעת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונצמחה ונגילה לך דודי, את בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, תקרת קלה, היי נידה נידו, היי היי או, בני שבת נקבלה, היי נידה נידו, היי היי או, לך דודי, תקרת קלה, היי נידה נידו, היי היי או, בני שבת נקבלה, היי נידה נידו, היי היי או.
So, Cantor Reisner.
Yes.
For those of you playing at home, this is the part where I put Cantor Reisner on the spot and ask her a question that she wasn't expecting. But having recently been a bride, what surprised you, or what did you feel changed for you once you, when you had that opportunity, that moment to be the bride and walk down that aisle and stand under the chuppah with your now husband?
Well, I didn't want it, I'll tell you that. I was so nervous, and I didn't want anyone looking at me. I wanted them looking at him. I spend my life having people look at me through a camera now, but it was the only real time in my life where I just felt like, no, I don't want any eyes on me whatsoever. I wanted them on him. His face was amazing. Like it was exactly what I had envisioned, to have my groom up there, so happy and so excited and also very nervous.
Yeah. And I saw a few pictures. You were indeed a beautiful bride, but I also saw that reflected in Nadine's face, reflecting that beauty and blessing back to you. So blessings and continued blessings to both of you. And it is wonderful to have you back.
Thanks.
Now that Cantor Green has been embarrassed sufficiently, we'll continue our service. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. It's good to give thanks to God. Page 27.
Tov lehodot l'Adonai, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, באמונתך בלילות. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון.
We invite you now to turn to page 46, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל לא תהיה לעולם. לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ולעולם. כי שדמי עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. כי שדמי עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני שפט ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות לגאולה ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורות לגאולה.
We now take a moment in our service to call to mind those in our world and in our lives in need of healing. And we invite you at this time to share out loud the names of those for whom you are praying as we call to mind all in our community and in our world in need of healing.
מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing and let us say Amen. Mi she'erach imoteinu mikor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema. The renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We wish a refuah shlema to all in need of healing. And we turn our attention now to those whose hearts are broken by loss and grief. In a week when we've learned about a tragic incident in the Miami area, and we wait to hear hopefully about more survivors, we also turn our hearts to those who are in grief right now, along with all those for whom we recite the Kaddish, and we invite those at home to feel yourself to be part of a virtual minyan tonight as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish together on page 58. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
המקום ינחם אתכם. May the Holy One comfort you. המקום ינחם אתכם. May our love embrace you. בתוך שער אבלי ציון וירושלים. May their memory bring you peace, bring you strength and be a blessing. המקום ינחם אתכם. May the Holy One comfort you. המקום ינחם אתכם. May our love embrace you.
We have a bit of an awkward setup tonight, so I hope that I'm looking in the right place. And want to welcome you again and wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Hope that you're having a beautiful Shabbat at home and joining us from afar. This week's Torah portion is told from the perspective of Balak, the king of the nation of Moab. Balak perceives the Israelites passing near his territory as a threat, and so he hires the prophet Bilam to curse the Israelites. The story has an almost comical frame. At first, Bilam is reluctant to curse the Israelites, explaining to Balak that as a prophet he can only speak the words that God puts in his mouth. So Balak takes Bilam to various vantage points overlooking the Israelite encampment. Each time Bilam sets out to utter words of condemnation, God instead inspires him to offer words of blessing. One of these blessings is familiar to us because it is included in our prayer book. Looking down upon the encampment of the Israelites, Bilam observes, "Ma tovu ohaleha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael." How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. What is it that Bilam saw that inspired him to bless the tents of the Jewish people? The commentator Rashi cites a midrash that explains that Bilam saw that the tents were arranged in such a way so that the openings of each tent did not face one another, thus allowing each family to have their privacy and dignity. What Bilam saw was a community conscientious of human dignity, organized by its sacred values. Seeing such a community, he could not help himself but to praise its morality. The interesting thing about Parashat Balak is that the entire narrative described in the Torah takes place entirely outside the awareness of the Israelites. It's entirely the story of outsiders looking at the Jewish people from afar. All of these events take place without the Israelites ever being aware that outsiders are looking at them. And yet, how the Israelites arranged their camp set a strong signal about their values. I think there's a lesson in this for us when we think about who is on the inside of the Jewish community and how we are seen by those looking from the outside or from the margins. This month, June, is Pride Month, dedicated to upholding the dignity and rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people. The struggle for LGBTQ equality and inclusion has been a long one. This weekend marks the 51st anniversary of the Stonewall riots that gave rise to the modern queer rights movement. In the past 5 decades, we've witnessed slow but steady progress in the broader culture, with religious communities often lagging behind. It was not until the mid-1990s that the conservative movement started to move in the direction of inclusion with positive statements about welcoming LGBTQ people into our synagogues. And it was only in 2006, when I was in rabbinical school, that the Rabbinical Assembly passed a landmark legal opinion allowing for same-sex weddings and the ordination of openly gay rabbis. Thankfully, the Jewish community is making great strides toward making our synagogues more welcoming, and I'm proud to say that HEA has for some years now made efforts to embrace those who identify as LGBTQ. Yet our posture has still been very quiet. When it comes to being welcoming to Jews who have historically been marginalized, it isn't enough to be passively accepting. It isn't enough to simply be friendly when people walk through the doors, because they won't walk through the doors unless they know that it is a welcoming and embracing community. Synagogues like ours need to send an affirmative and vocal message that we welcome and embrace Jewish families who want to engage, regardless of race, religious background, sexual orientation, or gender identity. It matters because when people approach from the outside, they need to see that we mean what we believe. As a synagogue, we have to be more, we have to do more to progress, to be an affirmatively welcoming community, to communicate constantly that we welcome LGBTQ Jews into our synagogue. You may have seen this week's blog post advertising Pride Shabbat, which we'll be celebrating throughout the weekend, and our co-sponsorship of Denver's Jewish Pride programming at the JCC. I hope that our website will soon feature prominently an inclusion statement. These might seem like small gestures, but they matter to people seeking out Jewish community, especially when they haven't felt embraced in the past. How we are seen by outsiders, by those who look from us to us from the outside matters. And as a synagogue, we will continue to make progress to send the message that we honor and respect any Jew seeking a serious engagement with Jewish life. Shabbat Shalom and happy Pride Month. We now will conclude our service with those words of blessing, Matovu ohalecha Yaakov, how good are your tents.
Matovu ohalecha, ohalecha Yaakov. Matovu ohalecha, mishkenotecha Yisrael, vani merov chasdecha avo veitecha eshtachave Eleicha kodshecha eshtachave Eleicha kodshecha beiratecha.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Join us every Friday night at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 9:30 for Shabbat services.